Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host, Mark Lawrence of Statewide News Service, JamesTechPhilly.com, and as you can see here, weekly columnist for the Jewish press.
And I'm having a lot of fun doing all of that, and I write about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. And with us today is someone who's the tops in Albany County government, County Executive, Dan McCoy.
Thank you again, Rabbi, for having me on your show. I appreciate it. Mark, as always, it's always a pleasure to sit down with you two.
You were my county legislator before you were county executive, so
you've known me a long time, very long time.
And you haven't aged a day.
Yeah, I feel it.
You feel it. Well, you know, I was surprised because one day when they were doing a changing of the guard at Division of Military and Naval Affairs, all of a sudden I walked to the back and you were there. I was like in your
my fatigues, my military, my military uniform.
What are you in the military?
I'm still in the military.
Still there?
Yeah, 20-some years later.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't interfere with your Albany County?
Scheduling sometimes tough, and people understand if I have to disappear for the weekend or my 2 weeks AT, they know I'm serving my country. Annual training. Okay. We have to do 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, but unfortunately since 9/11, it's turned into a little bit more than that. You know,
really?
We get called. Well, we have details down in New York City. We have people stationed at the airports, at the tunnels. We have different missions across the state of New York, and we for a while, New York Guard had a lot of high tempo of military service, men and women going over to Iraq and Afghanistan, and we still do. We still got troops going out all the time, and I don't think people really realize we've been at war for 14 years. And it's not stopping, it's not slowing down, and it only affects 1% of the population, though there's only 330 million in this great world of ours in the United States, but we do have 1% of the people.
Do you have any personal feeling about the war? I mean, because maybe in a way you have friends going there. And
when I'm out of the service, Rabbi, I'll talk to you about that. When you're in uniform, you serve at the pleasure.
You say, yes, sir,
yeah,
and that's all.
Or yes, ma'am, and that's it, and I move on.
You see, he's up to date. Yes, ma'am.
I'm behind the times.
But I wanted to, ask you if you feel, what would happen if we just stopped? You said we're at war for 14 years. What if we just stopped meddling in Afghanistan and Iraq and, would the world go to hell in a handbasket?
It's $1 million question. A lot of the good that we've done will probably unravel very quickly. A lot of these countries stay unstable. They're not used to democracy, unfortunately. They're used to having a dictator, and it's going to be tough. It takes time. People just don't wake up and say, well, we can vote for who we want, we can elect who we want, and honestly, it affects the friendships that we have over there, like Israel. It really affects our partners that have been great partners of this country of ours for a long time, that we have to make sure that not just our interest is taken care of, but their interest is taken care of.
So you don't really advocate for just stopping, retreating.
No one wants
to. Do their thing, and that's
we could.
We did in Vietnam.
The problem is that look what happened with 9/11. We left our guard down. We kind of sat back and we said, what happens over there is not going to affect us. Well, it is affecting us.
And nothing happened with Vietnam.
No, that was a different type of war. These people they're terrorists. They're not real. It's not a real military. They do things for the shock value. They do things to.
The other part is with Vietnam. I mean, there were terrorists. I mean, they were hiding out in the bushes. They
weren't coming to our soil.
And we didn't sign anything saying that we failed at our mission. We just left.
No, you are correct. But it's
it's
getting to that point.
We got McDonald's over in Saigon.
We do.
So we took over the place now.
Economically.
Ronald McDonald took over for us.
So I'm just saying, maybe we just let them live.
Listen, Danny has enough troubles with Albany County. Yes. You're asking him how to conquer the world.
You brought it up.
Well, he's a National Guard.
So who's the head of the Division of Military and Naval?
General Murphy left, and we have a new general that took over, a 2-star from the Air National Guard.
And his name is?
And it's escaping me right now. You
put his last name is German.
German, correct. General German.
So I'm saying that you now have a German in charge of the New York militia.
Yeah. No, he's actually really
go over well with the Jewish community.
No, our new tag's a really great gentleman. He's leading by example, and it's General Murphy was there over 6 years, I believe.
Okay.
And the new General German's gonna, there's some great deputy tags and generals that are there that transfer them to the National Guard, and they can continue to do great things.
So we have a larger military in this state than most countries.
With
And
National
we-
Guard and Reserve, we probably got a little over 17,000 soldiers.
No, not
So
just that, but in terms of our equipment also.
we have a lot. Oh, in this country, yeah,
In
our
this
country.
state.
Oh, in this state,
In this state, we
well,
have
you
a
got,
lot of.
we do. We got Fort Drum's here, Fort Hamilton, West Point. You know, so we have a lot of places that have a lot of armor.
But what New York State owns, I mean, aren't those federal?
Well,
Fort
if you're
Drum,
National
Fort
Guard,
Hamilton?
yes, that's federal.
So, well, I'm talking about what New York State owns.
We do.
With
We
the-
have a lot of equipment.
The
We
tanks,
don't have tanks anymore. We got out of the tank
We
business.
got out of the tank business, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, in terms of the amount of,
Heavy equipment,
Military
Humvees,
equipment.
transportation.
I
Yes.
mean, we have.
We got the arsenal right here. We have a lot of people stationed at the Waterville
Huge.
Arsenal. Yeah. We do have a lot of
And people
equipment.
don't- And whether, you know, with the Navy and the, you know what I learned about this was when, when we, was it 1986, when we celebrated the July 4th? We had Reagan had his ship on one side and we had our ship, New York State ship, on the other side
Yeah.
of the Statue of Liberty. And, you know, we were right toe-to-toe with what the US government had in
Yeah.
their.
We're not quite as there,
presence.
but we do. You know, we have
But, you know,
aviation throughout the
Yeah,
state.
the aviation.
We have a
and-
lot of aviation with with Stewart Air Force Base. We have, that's the Air National Guard base. You got Stewart Air Force Base, which is,
And our naval
national.
militia is very big,
Correct.
too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize it, and that's what
We
I'm
have
saying. that
a
we,
lot
you
of,
know,
we do have a
They
lot
don't
of,
think of us as being a military state.
we do have a lot of military.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so.
Can we get back to Albany County,
Are you
though?
bringing any of that to Albany County? No.
No, not at all.
Okay, so tell me, what's your state of the county address about?
State of our county address, this theme going forward is about, really reinventing the way we do things. And we're looking at how we're taking a top to bottom approach. We have a relationship with Albany that they're kind of come in and look at how we deliver services. It's our equity agenda that we're going to be doing.
Equity agenda?
Yeah, our equity agenda. I'm saying, yeah. So what they're going to do is come in and look at how we do social services, DSS, or children, youth, and family, which takes up a good portion of our tax dollars. And what it's going to do is basically look at how we deliver services, see if we're delivering them effectively. But if there's something in the community that's working better than what we're doing, we're going to partner in with that venture. We're going to say, okay, you have it right, we're not. This is what's working in your community, and we're going to get behind it.
All right, now, you do this thing every year where you sleep outside in the winter.
I do.
And to, take one night to see what the homeless have to endure every evening.
Correct.
Why not go on social services for a month and endure what other people have to endure?
I've seen, how can I say it? I've seen other people do this. And are you fairly living that way? Because you know what? As a kid growing up, we had assistants in my family.
Yeah.
So, I know what it's like. We've
What
lost,
kind of assistance?
we've lost our home when we were growing up. We got foreclosed on. I went through that. Different things, I had friends on welfare. I've seen people get food stamps. I've been through it. I grew up in the south end of Albany, and, I appreciate what people have to go through. And we have to understand, I always said to everybody, as bad as you think your day is, think of someone else. Think of the people you're servicing that might need more assistance than you, or somebody that has to take them a lot longer to get ready in the day because they have a disability that hinders them from trying to get ready as quick as you do. So, I have put myself in that side. I highlight the homeless veterans, and that's what we've been highlighting, because being a veteran myself, I want people to know that, we do have a huge homeless population here in the Capital District. And a matter of fact, there's like 75,000 homeless veterans in this great country of ours that are outside every day. And, we want to bring attention to people, especially on the coldest nights of the winter, say, look, people are living out in this, And the same thing with the services, to get to the question, is that, I could do that. But I go to events all the time. I'm out all the time. It's a little bit harder to try to do that, but look, if you want to take that challenge with me, I'll live like that for 30 days.
Okay, I'll take it.
How's
with you.
that?
Okay. I wanted to ask you about the homeless, out by the Ann Lee home.
Soldier On.
Veterans.
Yes,
Yeah.
Soldier On Project. We're a little bit closer.
Just a little?
Well, listen, it goes to the legislature this month. They're going to vote on the lease agreement. Once they sign that, we should have a shovel in the ground, hopefully no later than October. It's a $30 million project. We're doing it with the Shaker site. The Shaker site has been there since the beginning of time, and it really, their mission, really, during the Civil War, they took care of soldiers. So I go, now we can still go back to taking care of each other. They have a lot of property that's in disarray, so the soldier on, has agreed to help with them to fix some of their buildings. But it's going to be the first campus of this type in New York State, because not only is it going to be housing for veterans, it's going to be where they can go and get therapy, it's where they can get classes, we're going to try to offer college classes, really just hope at the end of the day to get them off the streets, get them in living in an environment and take pride, because they're going to own this apartment at the end of the day. And when they decide to move out, it has to be sold back to Soldier On to give to another veteran. It can't just be sold to anybody. But it's really, they'll go out during the day, they'll get homeless veterans off the street, they'll bring them up there, they'll try to give them therapy. If they want to sit there and drink, they're going to let them drink. But it's kind of like not a peer pressure thing, but to see what their peers are doing and how they're getting help, and hopefully it connects with them. And
How many people can you?
There's roughly going to be about 150 apartments, and but that's just for the veterans that are there. But the day process, they're going to go down like the shelters here in the city of Albany. 7 o'clock, they have to be outside. So if it's cold out, they have to get outside. So they need a place to go to get warm. So we're going to try to get them up there and really get them off the streets and get them the services that they need.
Is CDTA going to offer direct bus service?
We're taking care of that with transportation. Soldier On has a couple vans. They will go out into the community. They'll help them get them to the doctor's appointments. They'll help them get them, move them around. So it's really one of them all one in service, that they're going to be able to go from A to B to C to D and get everything that they need.
So how many vans? I mean, because if you have 150 people,
Well, you got to
need
remember,
about 5 vans, right?
there's going to be a lot of services right there, so they're not going to be.
No, but you got to get them up from the.
Oh yeah, from the mission.
Pearl
We can't.
mission.
Yeah, we'll take trips, and we can't force them to go there, Mark. They have to agree that they want to go up there for the day, and so we're hoping, with a hot lunch or dinner or breakfast, that they'll come up and and they'll get a little
This is
treatment.
one of the first things in the country, because I never heard of anything
They
like
do it
this.
in Pittsfield. I saw the model in Pittsfield. I went over there. They work with the VA. VA, this is the only organization that got approval from the VA hospital to build on their property, which, if you know the federal government and the VA, is nearly impossible. They got a great model. It's working. And we want to take that model here in Albany County. And, look, we get calls all the time. We had a veteran that, I think it was a year ago or two, was going to school in Schenectady Community College. A Marine came off active duty, living on the streets. He was living out of his truck going to school. So we got him into an apartment. The veterans are entitled. The veterans are entitled to a lot of benefits that they're not aware of. Like, we did a veterans identifier at our social services that identifies veterans, gets them different assistance. We actually got a national award for it, because it's the first of its kind in not just the state of New York, but the nation, that we're identifying veterans and we're getting them the services that they need and getting them quicker. And most importantly, it's not using our tax dollars, it's using the federal tax dollars, because it's a different system.
So, and what is the budget for the county these days?
$610 million.
Okay.
A lot of money.
And
If
is
you-
that
yeah.
going up, or are you
It
stabilizing
no,
it?
it goes, well, we have stabilized it. You got to remember, when I took over 4 years ago, we were in a recession. Our reserves was basically $19 million. We were borrowing $15 million a year to make payroll.
Well,
We were kicking the can down the road, and we had to change the way we did.
Okay, so what's it now? What's in your reserves now?
We have roughly over $40 million in our reserves as of today.
Doubled.
Right, and then we're basically, for the last 3 years, we've been under the cap. Back-to-back zeros, under the cap the first year, 2 zeros back-to-back. Staying under the cap next year. We have to, people don't want their taxes raised, but we still have an obligation, because we deliver a lot of
Yeah, I know.
services. And people don't realize the services that we deliver.
And it's all on your website, albanycounty.gov.
Yes,
No.
yes. No, we do on our website.
But I wanted to ask you about the priorities that because you said we have to do things differently. So what are your priorities as you head into, your 6th year or something?
Yeah, and this is my 5th year. I just got reelected.
Okay.
Our equity agenda, and then the opiate crisis that we have in this county. As you know, back in February when I did my State of the County, I did naloxone, which is a standing order for anyone, the first county to do it, upstate New York. The governor followed me the next day after I did it. But basically, anyone can go into a pharmacist and get this device that will take someone in overdose, a loved one, and reverse it.
This Narcan?
Yes, it's Narcan. It's naloxone, but they do call it's Narcan. It's Narcan. You can go in there. You don't need a prescription. You can just go in there and say, "Hey, I want this." They'll cover it. Boom. You walk out of there, and hopefully you don't have a loved one. But unfortunately, we have more and more kids in this era that are using heroin's back for some reason. It's cheaper, it's stronger than it ever was before. If you look at, I say to your viewers out there, open up the obituaries. Parents aren't saying my kid passed away because of drugs. They're just saying they passed away. There's too many young adults. There's too many older people. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're rich, poor, black, white. It does not matter.
Look at Prince.
Correct. And here's somebody, in his beliefs, you weren't supposed to take this stuff, and there he was. It's sad, and we really need to promote that. But the other thing we've been really pushing is the justice, the injustice, and the indigent defense for the poor. We have a district attorney's office that's heavily staffed, and we have a public defender, an alternate public defender's office that don't have the same resources. And if you're poor, you go into the courtroom, and actually, I'll use this scenario. Joe Bruno goes to court. He spends $2.3 million defending himself. Now he gets it overturned. He gets his money back from the state. He wins his case. Now, I don't know about you two gentlemen, but I don't have $2.3 million. So if we have to defend ourselves and get top attorneys, it's not going to happen. So our outcome, the three of us, would probably have a different outcome than Joe Bruno, or we'd be sitting in jail wondering what happened. If you don't have the resources. And that's what happens with our justice system. There's justice for the rich, and then there's injustice for the poor. So one of the things a year ago when I saw the kid, Kaleef, and it really moved me, from New York City, that killed himself because I don't know the whole case. He stole like a backpack, ended up in jail down there for 3 years. He didn't have the money for bail. He fell through the system. He gets out 3 years later. He was like 16 years old and committed suicide. They had him, bad experience in the jail system. And I said, we can't have that. We have to change it. So I had a press conference last year. I invited all of our assembly members and our senators, and Assemblywoman Pat Fahey, and I love her. She took our bill. We wrote it. Phil Calderon, my deputy county executive, Chris Quinn wrote this bill with the help of Judge Rosen, because I brought him on to look at this whole equity agenda and what we're doing also with the injustice. They wrote the bill, Pat introduced it, it passed the Assembly last week, unanimous, it passed the Assembly, and we're hoping this week it's going to pass the Senate, and we'll get reimbursed and more money into the public and alternate public defender's office, where we can fairly represent poor clients that can't afford to defend themselves in the courtroom.
Well, it's great that finally got them to do something up on the Hill.
Well, I got to tell you, I was surprised because I made the announcement last week. I brought Terry Kinlan in to help with our public defender's office, with our younger public defenders, to give them some experience and guidance, and he's really good at that. And then I was a little, sitting there going, well, I hope this passes. I hope this passes, because you got to remember, the state of New York takes care of 5 counties, and I said, what about the other 57? Because basically they sued the state. It took 8 years to settle. They only settled with 5 out of the 62. And I go, what about the rest of us? So this bill wasn't just about Albany County. This was about the rest of the state of New York, that that for whatever reason state government left out. This is righting what was wrong from that lawsuit, but also, more importantly, it's protecting the people, and it's it's going to protect the poor people that walk into this court system and are going to have hopefully a different outcome.
Okay.
That's excellent. So you have a few things that are really on the cutting edge of...
We do. We've really been involved with doing a lot of different things. We're revamping our Project Growth, where we take youthful defenders and basically, instead of going to jail, we've gotten them jobs to pay back restitution. So, we look at the crime, the judge picks these kids out. It's the first of its kind in New York State. And basically what happens is they say, well, we put them to work, and they have to give you a paycheck every week. It comes out of their dollars, and they start to appreciate money. We're relaunching a new program. I'm doing it with Sheriff Apple. Probably in the next 2 weeks you'll hear about it, and it's going to be on Cutting Edge, because that's what we need to do. Well, if I told you, then you would know. I can't tell you. He wants a scoop. But it is going to be
between us. Okay?
It's going to be working with the trades and all the unions, like the operating engineers, the painters, the carpenters, the teamsters. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get
You know,
into
Dan,
that.
just
Put the
we're-
indigent to work?
No. This is totally different. This is going into a different direction, but it's going to be cutting edge.
This is the Jewish view, so of course, rabbinical things, but this is really, I always pound on this because one of my million jobs there is just visiting Jewish prisoners. What can you do?
Yeah.
I mean, there are Jews in prison, unfortunately, and I always say that exactly this, what the Torah, Judaism says, that what if you steal? So it's not like lock them up in a gorilla
Right.
cage, for 2-3 years where, number one, they're unproductive, number two, they don't learn anything, and number three, it's costing the state or the county a lot of money. It says restitution, you work it off. And this is what these people need. These people don't know what a job is a lot of times. They don't know what it means to drop out of school. You're going to get up, you're going to go to work, and then, even me, let's say, I mow my lawn.
Right.
So you just know the simple thing, hey, you feel good, you look at the lawn after you're done, you
Right.
feel good about yourself. So these kids, they don't know what sometimes we even, I talk to them, what are you, drug selling?
You don't mow your lawn?
You're right.
Can I have you come to my house?
Yeah.
So you-
I charge too much.
You know,
over here.
Rabbi, the toughest thing is that to house a prisoner is roughly about $185 a day. To house a juvenile detention is upwards of $350 a day.
Why is that?
It's just the expense of doing business. And if you look at, remember when the state of New York closed all of its mental institutions across the state, and they said, look what we've done, they pushed it down to the counties. We put a $17 million addition on our jail. We have doctors 7 days a week around the clock dealing with inmates that shouldn't be in jail. They have mental illnesses, and that's why part of what I did with my state of the county is we're doing a mental health court. I'm actually going to be making an announcement with Patrick Kennedy, which is pretty cool, and we're going to be doing some things in the mental health side of it because they really shouldn't be in jail, and we just got to give them the help. Just like we launched a program through our mental health department that goes out with police departments and helps them to identify the mental health community and how to deal with them. So it's a better outcome at the end of the day. These are things we need to address. These are things we need to look at. And sometimes
Are you in favor of raise the age?
raise the age. I really haven't looked at it that much, and I do agree with it. We don't want to send kids off to prison. They make a mistake. You have to take it case by case. There's some of them, trust me, that deserve to be in there, that you're not going to change. But sometimes you take a youthful defender like that, and you wreck their life forever. Like Rabbi, like you were just saying, they come out of jail, then they can't find a job. No one wants to hire them. No one wants to give them an opportunity. That's the other thing. We've changed probation. We have a 14-week program with our probation department that teaches these ladies and gentlemen how to do interviews, how to search for jobs, how to dress. We prep them for all that, and we find out by running them through this program. We let them off probation early, and guess what? They don't come back. They don't come back. The rate of them coming back is like slim. And that's what we're trying to do, because what we have been doing for the last 30 years doesn't work.
Well,
it doesn't work.
Unfortunately, I've had bad things happen to good people, but I've had friends who've gone through the county jail system, and they say that the people in the jails are planning their next crime because they like 3 hots in a cot. It's a regiment.
Or
They
like
can-
what
Oh,
we're saying,
yeah, it's
maybe
free
it's a
food.
dead end,
You
but
know,
it's
but
a
it's a
dead end.
regiment.
They don't
Right.
have any
That's what
way of thinking how their life's going to get
Right,
better.
but they need a
The only thing they
regiment
can
to
do.
keep themselves on track. And when you're out in society, and you got to make your own schedule, and you got to have your own regiment.
That's what they're
It's-
saying, but you can
yeah.
train people.
Right.
That's what he's saying, you train
They're
them.
not dogs.
Why? People,
No, no,
that's
you-
what kids are.
you-
You,
no,
you train them,
These are
you
not
get up
kids,
on
these are
time.
teens.
Some are
late
adults, but
teens.
Rabbi, you're right. You have to give them light at the end of the tunnel. You have, and what we did with Soldier On, actually, Sheriff Apple opened it up, and he's really run with the program. We identify veterans at the jail when they get admitted, and what we do is they can go to a wing just with veterans. And Soldier On comes in every day and mentors these prisoners. They mentor them on how to better themselves. They mentor them on how to look for jobs. They go through a whole thing. So by the time they come out of jail, most of them have apartments waiting for them. They're dressed,
Right.
and they're dressed for success, and they're seeing a different way. And that's one of the things that you have to do. Training them to look at life differently, to look at different opportunities, and not feel like, hey, you know what? We've hired a lot of different felons in the county, and a lot of them that are very talented, have degrees, whatever reason they fell, whatever. People fall down, you don't kick them when they're down, you lift them up, and you pray for them, and you hope that they do better with their life, and we have to give them that opportunity. But if that opportunity is not there for them, They're never, it's just going to be, you know what, that
Cycle.
person's going to end back up in jail. We're going to be spending more money for, to keep them in jail or her in jail. And it really doesn't have a great outcome at the end of the day.
I wanted to ask you about the county clerk's office, because they always, I've always been told that they actually run a surplus and they give money back to the county budget.
I want to say Bruce Hidley does a great job. Bruce Hidley's our county clerk.
Yeah,
He does
and
a great.
his predecessor.
Yeah,
was there for
Tom
25,
Klingon.
yeah.
Tom Klingon does he did a great job. Bruce has really changed a lot of things. People have to pay to get records online, like if they foil something.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it's a surplus. It's money that goes there, comes back, but you got to remember the tax dollars that are going in to run that place.
I'm not
So
saying-
it might say that they generated $5,000, but how much money did it cost the county to have that equipment in place?
No, but I'm not talking, I'm talking, Bruce was on the show and Tom was on the show, and they talked about, $5 million or $10 million
I don't know
that
numbers,
they
but it was a lot,
give back
yeah.
to the county every
Yeah.
year. And that's wonderful, that's laudable. It's the only
Yeah.
agency that really gives you back anything. It gives back to the county coffers. So did they give anything back?
They
last
give
year?
they give back some money every year, but
No,
again,
but was
I
it-
have to look at the overbill that it costs to run that department. So yes, they generate money. You got to remember, they
Well,
generate money
he's-
off. You sell your house, there's a sales tax
Yeah.
committed to that. You register a car, there's a sales
Well,
tax
he's
to
talking
that.
about above and beyond what it costs to run the office.
No, that's what I'm saying.
That's
This
what
is
he's
where the
saying,
revenue.
5 to 10
That's what I'm
million
trying to
is
say. Where the
what-
revenue comes in, it
Yeah.
comes in off the real estate market.
Right, sure.
It comes off the sale of cars,
Okay.
clothing. It comes off of people registering their vehicle. So that's how they generate that money. It's
Okay.
not them. Well, it's a tax that was created to generate money, but it goes through the
So
clerk's
how
office.
much money did they give back to the?
I'd have to look at the budget off the
Okay.
top of my head. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know if it was $5 million. But I'm not. Bruce
Did it
says.
put a smile on your face when you saw this?
Listen, anytime I can keep taxes at zero, I'm a happy man.
Okay, and what do you do for relaxation and for, because you do need, like you're talking about mental health,
Yeah.
you do need a mental health.
Goes into the army over here.
Yes, I go away in the army on my weekends and get away from this, and it's a different type of pressure.
There you go.
I try to spend as much time as I can with the family. I was up for re-election last year, so I spent a lot of time out campaigning. But I'm pretty active, and my job is I work for 310,000 people. This is my 5th year of going out into the community. I do state of the counties. I go to every municipality. I go to neighborhood association meetings because I want to be engaged with the people. Because I said, at the end of the day, I work for you.
Right.
And what do you want out of county government? It's not what I want. It's what you want. And how can we better service the people, the great residents or my constituents of this county? How can we do a better job without hearing back from you? And again, a lot of people don't realize, from mental health to health, to different departments, early intervention, transportation for special needs. We do it all. And a lot of people don't realize it. And I oversee the sheriff's budget, the district attorney's budget, which can be unpopular at times
yeah.
because I got to hold them accountable, because I got to put my name on to whether we raise taxes or lower it. And so it's challenging.
But don't you give the DA's office and the sheriff's office a lump sum and let them manage it the way
They submit their budget every year to us, and then we decide whether or not that's where it's going to go.
because
And
they're separately elected officials.
correct, but
So
I'm
they
responsible
should-
for the levy. I'm responsible for the taxes. So I'm the one that negotiates all their union contracts. So it's a little difficult at times because they are independently elected.
Yeah.
But the way it's set up through the state of New York, I have the pleasure of have to deal with their budgets every year and saying yes or no to them, which can be unpopular at times. But I have to hold them accountable. So when we go to the taxpayers of this county, that basically, look, I go, my name's on it. The legislature ratifies the contract. They ratify the budget. But a lot of people don't realize the legislature is doing it. They see my name on the budget.
How much of the budget gets changed from when you propose it to when they dispose of it in the legislature?
It depends on how they feel that year.
Yeah, but approximately,
probably.
because in the state budget, tweaks maybe 2%.
Yeah, I would say it depends on whether they like me that year.
But do they
It could be 10% of the budget. It depends on what they want to do. Sometimes they throw us off, our levy off, because they do some things that don't add up. But we make it work.
Okay, well.
So it's challenging.
You have a lot of new people in the county legislature.
We do. We got a good group of people that came in that are a different way of thinking, have a fresh approach to things, and looking at things differently. And that's what we need to do, Mark. I said, look, when I took over as county executive 4 years ago, I said the way I found government's not the way I'm going to leave it. We have to change the way we do business. I get criticized all the time saying I want to treat county government as a corporation, strive to make a profit, knowing that the profit doesn't go to a shareholder, it goes to the taxpayers. Because the more frugal I am with the way we run programs and deliver services, I can give the relief to the taxpayers all in the county.
County clerk is looking in your direction.
He is. Bruce does a great
song.
Bruce, I can tell you, has been a great partner. So is David Soros and Sheriff Apple and and Mike Connors. We all got to work together at the end of the day. We agree to disagree on multiple occasions, but for the most part, we all have the same thing. We have to deliver services, but we have to make sure we do it right.
I just want to ask you this gently, but do you get involved politically with the county legislature races?
I was running last year, so I was a little busy.
But still, I mean...
I back different legislators, the ones...
If you don't like an incumbent, do you find someone to run against them?
No. If someone's running against them and I decide who I like, I don't like, it depends. If they're agreeing to what I'm trying to do in the county to turn it around, of course I'm going to support them, It's changing the cohesiveness of the legislature. I was there for 12 years. I was the chair the last 2. It changed a lot, when I was in there. It's a different way of thinking. When I first got on board, we didn't get an agenda to meetings. We weren't told what we were voting on. We showed up at a meeting and then you just, you followed like sheep. It's changing. They're actually, you get some that are, not all of them, but majority of them are sitting there and they're actually reading the stuff in front of them. They're making logical decisions. They're the people I want in there. I don't need someone with me 100% of the time. I just need people that are truly there, paying attention and taking their job serious.
There's some people in there who don't even have email addresses.
Correct.
I mean, it's just terrible how behind the times a lot of them are, and a lot of them are in leadership. Yeah. And, it's just, you just can't get rid of them. They've been there a long time.
It's look, I've never really been in favor of term limits, but I said in 2012 in January, I said downsize the legislature and give us term limits because I was at my end in January 2012 because it's hard to change things. Again, when you're used to going a certain way for 332 years, and this legislature is the most powerful legislature in upstate New York, and they're the biggest in the state of New York. They're actually the second biggest in the nation besides a government in Texas, but they only meet 3 months out of the year.
Well, everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, and but it's challenging at times because you have to sway 39 people what you're trying to do, and they still, when the Democratic machine had a lot of power here in the county, the legislature got a lot of power, and they don't want to give up that power base that they have. And it's tough, because I knew, look I was chair of the Democratic Party. That's right. I was chair of the legislature. I had more people who were power hungry. If I was power hungry, I would have stayed where I was at because I had a lot of power. As county executive, I don't. I just know how to use the office correctly, and I know how to get out there and change things. And that's the bottom line. Make changes for the people.
We're out of time, but it's every good time is good every year to check in with you, state of the county, so that we want to check in with you. But really what you're doing is really, I give you an A+ grade if you want to hear from one of the from Delmar, part of Albany County. And
I had a question for you two before we got off the air though.
What
do you think about the governor coming out forward for the ban on companies not dealing with Israel?
I think that's great. It's beautiful that he, that Israel's the best friend of the United States and so many Jewish people in New York, and really that it's the best thing for, New York's a leader in the world, surely in the United States.
I agree.
In the world.
I was happy to see it. Yeah. I personally was happy to see that we're going to boycott companies that are boycotting Israel.
Excellent. All right. We'll have to call you back again next year to see what's happening. But in the meantime, continue with your great success and do it with good health.
Yes.